computer. Okay, good morning or early afternoon. This is Kathy Rossini LaPierre from LAZA Properties, and with me is Laura Campbell, my partner, and
Hello.
Kate Stevenson from Norcom Mortgage. So we were successful with this last week. For some reason, Zoom is not speaking to Facebook. I don't know if anybody else is encountering this right now, but I am going to blame the technology and not the operator. So we are doing our very best. We're going to record our conversation today and we'll post it. It just won't be live. As a lot of you are, we're learning this as we go. We're making the best of it. We do miss each other very much. I'm accustomed to seeing Katie at all my West Hartford Chamber meetings. We talk often. Laura, I used to see almost every day, and this is hard. So we're here today to talk to you about what the process looks like for home buying, especially in this current environment. Everybody's asking us questions. We figured we'd do a little quick rundown on what it looks like today. So I guess if Katie wants to go first, I'll let you tell us who you are and...
Sure, great. Katie Stevenson. Well, I guess first I'll start with thank you for working with me on this. Like you said, we're just trying to do the best we can to get out some information. Anyway, Katie Stevenson from Norcom Mortgage. Over the little hill in Avon. We are a mortgage lender. So we do not do deposit accounts, car loans, credit cards, or anything like that. We strictly stick to mortgages. And anyway, Norcom is a great local Connecticut-based company, and we're just really working hard to keep up with the changes that are going on. There's changes that happen very consistently in the mortgage industry anyway, but especially more so now. So anyway, that's...
We'll do a real brief introduction, and I'll let Laura speak to who we are, because this is kind of a new venture, but I joined Laura. She's actually the reason I'm in real estate now. And between her and I, we have 17 years of experience, I think. And
something like that.
She led the way, and I'll let her tell you who we are.
We are LAZA Properties.
So we're based out of Newington. I joined Laura. We've been friends for a very long time, and I've known her husband even longer. I think I was a teenager when I met Mike, and he's been somebody my husband grew up with as well. So we've known each other for an awful long time. Laura invited me into real estate 7 years ago, and then very recently asked me to join her.
She took a path to get here.
It took me a little while. It was, transitions are always hard. And so she and her husband have rehabbed about 30 homes. So she knocks down walls and does tiling and all the hard stuff. And she's teaching me some of it. We're going to do a little bit of DIY stuff too, maybe, which might be a little bit of fun. So, but today we figured we'd talk about what home buying is like, because it is still going on. It's considered an essential. We're being very careful. We have a little bit different process right now, and Katie asked us about going live, which I thought was a great idea. So I'm going to give Katie credit for this one. And I am also going to steal something from another agent that I work with who I like very much. Amy Babbage gave me a cheat sheet for what she's doing with her people who are listing and what we're doing to make things look different. So today we're going to talk about the typical sale process, but how it looks a little bit different in this day and age. So that being... And
if I could just interject, this was one of our first fun activities that Kathy and I did together at the Bridal Expo. So what we had the opportunity of doing is speaking to, over 100 young women who are looking to get married. And if any of you are out there, call us up. But what we wanted to do is just give a 101, start to finish, what do you need to do? So take it away, Kathy. So if we're saying anything that's very elementary, sorry, but the steps need to be talked about.
We're going to start from basics today. And I think what's going to happen is we're going to carry this on for quite a while and continue a Tuesday luncheon. Katie, you're always welcome to pop back on, but I think we're going to try to take everybody through the steps. And, we're all finding ourselves on Facebook and social media more and looking for information. So hopefully that's what we're going to be for you as a resource. Um, Maybe I will try right away to post this. I'll screen share very quickly and then we'll get away from it. But what we'll do is just very easily, simply, typically buying a house is about a 6-week process. There's a lot of variation and each one is an individual process. But we are going to start with the lender. Most people tend to find a realtor first, whether it's because you know a few, most people know several, or you ask for a referral or you're online poking around. But the first thing Laura and I are going to do is turn around and say, have you spoken to a lender? And with that being said, I am going to kick it back to Katie and let her talk about what the first things you're going to do when you talk about buying a house.
Perfect. Great. Thank you. So definitely home buying is certainly an emotional, very emotional process. And typically home buyers, especially I find first-time home buyers, like Kathy said, tend to see a house that they like, either at an open house, they're driving by, they see the for sale sign, or they see a house online, and they fall in love with the house based on where it is, what it looks like. They don't think about the money part. That typically is an afterthought. But becoming properly qualified to buy a home is very important, because you need to know if you qualify for the house, or qualify for a mortgage rather. You need to know how much it's going to cost you, how much do you need for a down payment, how much is it going to cost you on a monthly basis. And you need to think about if you're comfortable paying for that house or not. So typically when a home buyer calls me, whether they are purchasing their first home or their 5th home, I'll have a conversation with them about anything from their income and their employment, how much money do they have to put into a transaction. I'll talk to them about the documents that I'll need to collect from them, all of that good stuff. And so once I gather up all of the information that I need, I will see how much they qualify for. I will review their credit. I will see what programs, what mortgage programs they qualify for. Then once I do all of that, I issue the pre-qualification letter, and I'll say, this is the product you qualify for. This is for how much, and this is how much it's going to cost you on a monthly basis. So here's your spending power. Here's the letter. Now you can go back to work with Kathy or Laura and get started on looking for the home of your dreams in your price range. So once you do that and you find the home of your dreams and you make an offer, then we get the application process started. So just a quick little bit about what NORCOM is doing to accommodate home buyers during the current COVID-19 issue. Everything is online. Everything can be done digitally, and that is to keep our borrowers and our staff healthy during this time. So like I said, everything can be done online. Everything can be done from a distance, up through the closing, up through once we get to the final stages of the process, everything can be done online. So it's great, it's easy. I'm here to walk the buyers through what I need from them and what the process is. So I know that was sort of a very condensed version of the mortgage process, but I'm here to work with your realtor, with Kathy, with Laura, to guide you through the process and make it as easy as possible and keep everybody at a distance and healthy.
So I guess from our point of view, the questions that I always get asked from new buyers, when you give somebody a mortgage quote,
Okay.
I want to buy a $200,000 house. The things that come into play for these people, we want to know what the taxes are.
Definitely.
Pay homeowners insurance, and we'll eventually talk to an insurance person. But we roll all those in together. So your mortgage is typically going to be the cost of the house but we put these other two items into that so that you pay
Yes.
your $1,200 a month, $1,500 a month. And that's
Correct.
when you find out where your comfort level is. So
Exactly.
kind of reverse designs.
And, excuse me,
Go ahead.
and if there's homeowner association
Correct.
fees a month.
Absolutely. So it's
Yeah, with condos, we have to roll that in as well. While that's
absolutely,
not always
absolutely.
paid by the mortgage, you need to take that into consideration. So buying a condo makes it different as well. So that's a very good.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so that's part of what I personally do is once I issue a pre-qualification letter, I will email the borrower. I have an Excel spreadsheet that gives the details of, so let's say I'm able to qualify somebody for a particular loan program. I will give them all of the details, soup to nuts, of how much it's going to cost them. What is your estimated interest rate? What is the required down payment? What is your loan amount? And then I give a breakdown of the estimated monthly payments. I'll have a conversation with somebody about what towns they're looking in, what types of properties they're looking at. So that way I have as much information as possible. If I know that somebody is looking at $200,000 homes in Newington, I can get an estimate of what a homeowner's insurance policy will cost, and that will go in the breakdown of what their monthly payment is. I'll be able to come up with an average of property taxes for that price range in the town that they're interested in. Obviously, it's just an estimate until they find the home that they're going to make an offer on. Once they do that, the borrower is more than welcome to call me and say, hey, I'm interested in making an offer on 123 Main Street. What's the payment going to be? Norcom has actually developed a mobile app that has a mortgage calculator in it that I can text to the borrower, and I can say, hey, take a look at the pre-qualification letter that I gave you. It will have your loan amount, it'll have your estimated interest rate, and you can plug that into the mortgage calculator. And then you can play around with homeowners insurance and taxes so that you as the borrower and you as the realtor can know what the estimated monthly payment will be. And then the borrower can decide if they're comfortable making an offer on that house before they even make an offer. Nobody wants to get partway through the process. You pay for a home inspection, you pay for an appraisal, and then you find out what the monthly payment is going to be, and you panic because you're not comfortable with that. So myself and Norcom have the technology to help borrowers figure that out up front before they get into the process. And they have all of the information up front so they know exactly what they're getting into.
So I'm going to throw something at you that I had somebody do to me once. During the mortgage process, they've found their dream house. They're in the process of buying it, and he went out and bought a truck. What do you say about that?
No. And I always tell people, do not buy a vehicle, do not buy furniture, please do not. And all of these things that I say might be funny, but they have actually happened to me. Do not go spend $2,000 at Home Depot on paint and use your American Express card.
Right.
Because then you might not qualify.
Yeah.
Don't sell, I kid you not, don't sell a donkey, not get a bill of sale, and then deposit the money into your checking account, because I'm going to have to ask you about that later on. So I definitely go through the do's and don'ts of the process up front. Hopefully home buyers listen, but definitely buying a car and adding a car payment significantly.
Oh God. And and I even had one who lost her job 2 weeks before the finish line and didn't say anything until they did the final pull. But it was for a temp company. And depending on the lender that you're using, we had this conversation in private the other day that, there's ways to connect the dots that, again, she got displaced from the job that she was in, but she's still employed by the temp company. So in this scenario, while it postponed things for 3 or 4 weeks, we were able to restructure it so that they were able to move forward.
Correct.
But you really have to ask questions, ask your agent,
Mhm.
ask your lender. You know, so those things are important. And I know Katie mentioned that a lot of her stuff, most of the transaction can be done online now.
Mhm.
We're all getting much better at this stuff. We have online signing tools. We have,
Mhm.
you know, FaceTime. You can actually have a conversation. But Laura and I still do a lot of our transaction is done online anyways. So you have
Mhm.
somebody who's shopping from home. A lot of us agents are going into the homes when nobody's there and doing a walkthrough video to prevent extra people being in the building if you don't need to be. So from our perspective, we're refining what we do and saving an actual showing for the last possible
Mhm.
step. If we know we have a serious buyer, if we've narrowed down, we're going to ask the people who are shopping to do a drive-by. Make sure you like where the house is located. Make sure you like, you know, the backyard. We'll let you walk around it outside without interfering with the family that's living there. You know, we want to be respectful of everybody and follow the
But
rules.
schedule that first.
Yes, don't just show up and walk around the yard. You'll
Yeah.
freak them out. So please talk to your agent. So, you know, the rules have changed, but it's still happening. And
Definitely.
everything that we are seeing, we don't want to minimize that people are being laid off, are being furloughed, are not having the income that we had previously. So we're conscious of that. I actually did take a young couple out last night who were all set to go shopping, and they both got furloughed, but their jobs will also be two of the jobs that will be the first ones back online when they come back.
Mhm.
She's a caterer for, you know, bridal parties, and he works for automotive for a car dealership, and those things are going to be some of the ones that do open up. And they will be returning to their jobs. So we looked at a vacant home last night. We all wore our masks. We were, you know, kept our distance from each other, but they were able to look and to start to refine, because the market, this is new for everybody. We don't know how long things are going to last on the market. There's, at least in Greater Hartford, I got to stop touching my face, right? I have to be conscious of that. In Greater Hartford, there has been such a shortage. We still had more buyers than sellers. So my thought is that when the world starts turning again, we're still going to have those buyers. It's going to be like somebody pinched the garden hose, and there's going to be this outpouring of shoppers and people who want to list their homes. And it's probably still going to be in the seller's advantage. I don't think that's suddenly going to change, but this is new.
I personally have a client. We have finally gotten an accepted offer on a house, but 2 other times, multiple bid situation, and we've lost out. It's really active out there.
And it's hard because we understand the people who had their homes on the market maybe have an elderly person in the house, maybe have an infant in the house, and are going, we really don't want other people walking in and out of our house right now. And they're withdrawing them. So I did not open the MLS this morning before this meeting, but as of several days ago, there were only 30 properties for sale in Newington. And earlier that day, there were 33. And I don't think they sold, but again, they are selling. So it's a tricky market. We're being very cautious. I have somebody who is supposed to list their home, and I've been saying, you know, they haven't found what they're looking for yet. So my fear is I'm going to put their house up and it's going to go and they're going to have nowhere to live. So we're kind of playing that game of which one are we going to find first, the chicken or the egg?
And sort of on that note, from the lender perspective, lenders are still lending money. We're still doing business. We're tightening our guidelines, and not just NORCOM, but lenders in general. We're tightening up a little bit. We're taking precautions to make sure that the home buyers are still employed. One of the things that I say to somebody that goes under contract, okay, you need to provide me with A, B, and C for your income. However, every time you get paid, send me your pay stub. Every time, send it to me, whether you get paid once a week, once a month, send me your pay stub. All the way through the process up until the day you close, send me your pay stubs. So lenders are definitely, we're still open for business. Norcom is still lending money. We're just taking a few extra precautions to make sure that our borrowers are still qualified and still employed, because we do not want to put the borrowers in a position that they can't pay for their home. Because nothing is worse than not being able to pay for your home and going through the default process. It's long, it's not happy, and we do not want to set somebody up for failure. It's disappointing if it can't happen now, but we would rather make sure that somebody is employed and qualified and can pay for the home and set them up for success, even if it takes them a little bit longer. So as soon as all of these people are back to work, we're able to reevaluate their qualification, make sure they're qualified, and flip the switch and send them back shopping. So
I'll point out two things. I'll give you, this is a little bit heavy, and it's meant to be helpful and not, I want to make sure I'm expressing this carefully, but I'm not sure if a lot of people are aware of the fact that if you're underwater on your mortgage, you can try to alleviate it with a short sale prior to going into foreclosure.
Mm-hmm.
And something Laura and I have a lot of expertise in, and we have the right people to help us with this. Unfortunately, there may be circumstances where people are winding up behind and they haven't gone into formal foreclosure yet, or even if the foreclosure process has been begun, I think they're suspending all that right now. So let me take that back. Right now, they're suspending foreclosures. But if you are concerned that you are underwater, we can help you short sale it and 9 times out of 10 not owe the difference. The banks would much rather get what they can get and forgive what's not payable. And we have the right people in place who can negotiate that for us. So it's a scary thought, and I hope it's not happening to many of you, but if you find yourself in that position, we can help you negotiate that as well. So unfortunately, that may happen to some people right now. There was another point about mortgages and the current market, but.
And I think you and I had
Well,
talked
while
about
you're,
this.
oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say that, excuse me, if the circumstances come up that a homeowner right now loses their job and has reduced income because they're either furloughed or laid off, call your lender, call the servicing department, and find out what your options are before you miss a payment. Whether it's Norcom or another company, please do not just stop making your payments. Call the lender. Lenders do not want, the lenders are not in the real estate business. We do not want to take people's homes.
Yeah.
We want to work with them to the best of our ability. So call, whether it's Norcom or any other company, call the phone number, call the 800 number on your bill and ask for help. Ask what options are available and know what you're getting into before you sign anything. So if you're working, make your mortgage payment. If you're laid off and have some income coming in, make your mortgage payment. If you, for some reason, cannot, call the lenders and see what options are available.
The good news is everybody's in the same boat. So there is a lot more forgiveness or flexibility. A lot of people are understanding that, we're going to have to do this together. We're going to have to negotiate it. The other thing, the advantage of this slower time is that we're doing our best to sharpen our axe, as some people say. We're doing our studying and our homework, and I'm following some gurus. And this is not going to be a housing crisis. So for the people who are freaking out saying, well, all of a sudden my house isn't going to be worth it, I better sell it now, or I better sell it. It's not, this is not what happened in 2008. People are not as Katie had mentioned earlier, the mortgage lenders are tightening up the restrictions.
Mhm.
They've been tight since we made some mistakes back in 2006, 7, and 8. So this is not going to be the situation where everybody's values are dropping and everybody's underwater. It's not going to be that scenario. If people are out of work, there are people who 95% of those people, 85% of those people are going to be coming back to work. So it's not going to be the scenario we had before. This hurts. And as quickly as it went down, it is going to come back up. It's not going to be the long process that we had before. From everything that I'm listening to and watching and following, I'm not an expert financially, but we don't want everybody freaking out. So this is, a temporary hiccup. It's uncomfortable, but the market is still moving forward. So
it definitely is. And from the perspective of a lender, we might be asking a few more questions. We might be asking for a little bit more documentation. But it's really ultimately for the protection of the consumer and to protect the housing market from what happened in the last housing crisis. And ultimately, it puts the home buyers in a better, more solid position to keep their house value high, to keep them in a comfortable payment scenario. So anyway, well, like Kathy said, I agree. I think we'll get through it. We'll snap back out of this. Things guidelines will loosen up again a little bit once we move out of the current situation and go back a little bit more to normal.
We learned a lot. We learned a lot the last time around, and I think everybody's making better decisions. And I think,
yes.
as hard as this is right now, we're going to be okay. So I'm happy to say, just on a side note, that at least where we are, I'm seeing a lot more kindness. I'm seeing a lot more patience. Everybody's understanding that stuff doesn't move as fast as it used to move, that we have to be a little more flexible in how we do things. And there might be some little silver linings to what's happening. So, we're here to be informative, and we want to be helpful, and this is where we live, and we want everybody to be successful. So we want to be a resource.
And back to Katie's documentation. Some people are saying, why does she need this? Why do they need that? Why they need a lot of information. So be prepared for that. Yeah. And Kathy, I don't know if you can put a list down of the things that are the typical things that the mortgage people are looking for. Sure. Attached to this Zoom or something. I don't know how that all works, but
sure, I can come up with a document.
A lot of information. Sure. So be prepared.
And it's like you said, Laura, it is absolutely a lot of information. It might seem like it's invasive. Getting a mortgage is painting a picture and then explaining everything. Everything needs to be explained. While I might believe A, B, and C, there are other people who are going to review the application who need explanations and to document and to prove. And it does seem like it's a little bit invasive. However, it is just to make sure that you, as the home buyer, this is not, I'm going out and buying something for $100 and it's no big deal. This is $200,000 or $300,000. This is a lot of money. So we as the lender need to make sure that the borrowers know what they're getting into and they're comfortable. So yes, you're right. It does seem like a lot of information, a lot of documentation. It's personal information that I get. I take protecting my borrower's information very, very seriously. And it does seem very personal. And you're right, it is necessary, but we get through it, and hopefully as easily as possible, and it doesn't hurt so bad.
And our job as realtors is we need to prepare our people that this is the first and most important step, and it is going to feel invasive, but like you're saying, it's very, very important. And to the people who are buying, we don't see any of that information. So it's between you and the lender. So
And
know that it's a confidential situation.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. The myself and Norcom do take that very seriously. We have the technology to protect the documentation, so our servers are very, very secure, and everything is private. I only discuss certain information with the borrower's permission. So if a borrower gives me permission to have a conversation with the lender or the realtor rather, then I will. But it's at the discretion of the home buyer. So if the borrower doesn't want me to say certain things, then I don't. I can't. So we do take that very seriously.
So that's definitely something I mentioned to my buyers is that, we get a letter that says the information that we need to write up a contract. Are you going FHA? Are you going conventional? What are the terms of your mortgage? And what's your down payment going to be? So those are the things that you have to take into consideration. And that the realtor,
Absolutely.
The rest of it, I don't need to know that, you defaulted on a truck payment 2 years ago, or,
Right.
that's not information that's any of my business. So there are boundaries between us and the lender. But one of the things that I always keep in mind, and I think this works for probably in both directions, I refer people to Katie, but I also have other lenders that I work with, and very often it's a personality match. I find that people come to Laura and I because they're a good fit, or there's somebody that we know that we had a successful transaction with, and you find like people. So for me, it's a lot of, because you are spending a lot of time with these people and having a lot of conversation, I think you find a realtor who fits you. And then the realtor, very often they come to us before they go to the lender, which we always direct them to the lender first, because that's really the first step. But I try to match people that I think are going to be a good fit. So, that's definitely, they have a lot to choose from as far as realtors and lenders. You want somebody with experience, but you want somebody who you're going to be able to understand. I've had a couple lenders that didn't fit. And, it wasn't that either one wasn't doing their part of the transaction, but it wasn't a good personality fit. Their language and personality styles were such a clash that you're okay, we got to find you a new lender. So that's something else to take into consideration when you're looking.
So that's step one.
I know, really, that's really just the first piece. I think that's a lot of information. I will post this to Facebook and to YouTube, and we will post the list of the steps that I have, the very, very general list of steps. And I will ask Katie for some general outlines of the topics, the paperwork that people need to submit.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And I can attach it to that. And maybe we'll do this once in a while with Katie, but we'll definitely keep going on Tuesdays and add some more information.
And continue the steps.
Yeah, exactly. We'll go through the whole process with you, because it is, if you haven't done it before, it becomes overwhelming. It seems like it's an impossible task, but that's what we're here for. So I think that was productive.
And that's what I'm here for at Norcom as well, is to guide the mortgage the process of obtaining a mortgage can seem very mysterious and scary, but that's what I do, is guide home buyers through the process. Whether you're buying your first home, your fifth home, you're refinancing, you're buying a beach house, whatever it is, every scenario is different. So I guide the borrower through the process and work hand in hand with the realtors like yourselves to work well. And we all have to work together. It's a little team that we have to work together.
And so you want to work with people that and that you trust. So I trust that Katie is going to do this for me, and I, put somebody in her hands and say, okay, help me get through this, because she's the person who's going to be determining where we go. I think that's what we wanted to accomplish today. Did we forget anything?
Yeah, no, I'm good. I think that I covered everything. I could sit here and talk about mortgages all day, and nobody wants that. So,
all right.
So, yeah. Any questions? I'm definitely available to answer anything that comes up. I can message, I can text, all that good stuff.
When I post this, I will try to put all of our contact information in the most logical place.
Perfect.
I'll see what the best way to do that is, and we'll talk to you again soon. Thank you, Katie.
Perfect. Thank you so much for going in on this with me, and hopefully next time our technology will be a little bit more seamless.
Yes. So we're learning. We're all learning. Thank you.
We're learning. We're all getting through it together.
All right. I'll see everybody later.
All right. Thank you.